was gonna go into town today and do some street outreach and chat to people about veganism and get them to try and align their morals with their actions, but it's absolutely pissing it down. So I just thought I'd do a little live at home and chat about the dairy industry. Obviously, all forms of animal exploitation is not okay and is absolutely horrific. But there's just something so barbaric about dairy. And I really just feel like people need to be educated on the reality of what happens in the dairy industry because it's so hidden from us. I'm going to be joined in this live by my two fur babies as well. Probably at some point you'll see them both. But yeah, like most people actually don't know. I think it's like 50% of people in the UK don't actually know. Yes, hello. You can join me if you want. 50% of the people in the UK don't actually know that cows need to be pregnant to then produce milk. Like most people, or at least half the amount of people, apparently, think that cows just produce milk and that's just the way that it is. And they produce milk for us. Most people don't actually know that mother cows need to be mothers. They need to be made pregnant for us to then take the milk that was supposed to be for her babies. So the reason I want to talk specifically about dairy is just because, I mean, like I said earlier, all forms of animal exploitation is horrific, is not okay, but there is just something so disgustingly barbaric about the dairy industry, and I really, really want people to understand so that then they can make informed decisions for themselves. So like I said, I was supposed to be out today doing a little bit of street outreach and chatting to the public, but I just thought I'd do a live at home on my own instead. If anyone pops onto the live, then you can ask me any questions about animal rights or veganism, or you can give me your best attempt at justifying why you think it's okay to not be vegan. So yeah, within the dairy industry, basically all this is the same for all dairy farms, all dairy cows. This is what happens to them. That includes grass-fed, organic, free-range, all of these fake marketing terms that are used to help us feel better about what we're doing to the animals. So obviously cows need to be pregnant to produce milk because they're mammals, so just like humans, we need to be pregnant to produce milk as well. So the cows, the majority of them, I think it's about 90%, maybe even more, they are impregnated with a process called artificial insemination. So it basically is a process where the bull is made to ejaculate either by electro-ejaculation or by hand by some farmers. So once they get the semen, they then get the semen, they use a metal rod to literally put the semen into the anus of the cow. So the farmer ends up having to put his whole arm down the anus of the cow and then injects the semen into the lining of her vagina, into the lining of her uterus, so that she is made I told you they'd want to get involved at some point. So that she's then obviously forcibly impregnated. They are held in these racks. Sometimes in the industry, these racks are actually called the rape racks, and they're held in these racks where they just cannot escape. Like, they can't move, basically. They can't escape. So most of them actually struggle. Ezra, stop. What are you trying to do? Most of them actually struggle quite a lot. I'm going to carry on in a second, but just got to watch these two because they are quite boisterous together. Yeah, they actually, they can't escape, so they're held in these racks where they just cannot move, so that the semen is, injected into them, and then after 9 months of pregnancy, 9 months, the same as humans, after 9 months of pregnancy, they have their babies. So the vast majority of dairy cows have their babies taken away straight away. So within the first 24 to 48 hours, they have their babies taken away, so that obviously the humans can then start taking the milk from the dairy cows. I don't even like using the word dairy cows because she's not a dairy cow, she's a mother. So on the very, very rare occasion, like I know that some farmers have told me it's very, very rare, some farmers keep the babies with their cows, but that's probably less than 1% of dairy cows that happens. So the babies very occasionally stay with the mother for a few months. So the baby boys are all murdered either between a few days in some cases to a few months. Like very, very rarely they're like a year old, and obviously they're made into veal, which I'm sure most people know what veal is, but the veal is classed as the byproduct from the dairy industry, so they're made into burgers or steak or basically food, and it's literally the flesh from very, very young calves. Most of them are boys, because the boys are usually shot and murdered very, very shortly after. Hi, Chip. How are you? I just thought I'd do a live on my own because I was going to do some street outreach today, but it's absolutely chucking it down outside. That in a very, very short way of explaining it is what happens to most dairy cows, and it's the vast majority. I mean, all of them are forcibly impregnated. Some farmers, very occasionally, I've met some farmers who basically put the bull in a field with lots and lots of female cows, so that obviously when they're in heat, they are impregnated that way. But then even if that did happen, which, like I said, it's very rare for that to be happening, it's like, imagine if you were put into a big house or a big room with a male until he then impregnated you against your will, and then once you give birth to your babies are then taken away, and then your breast milk is stolen and sold, and then eventually when you're too weak because you've been pumped so much, like you've been used and exploited so much, after a few years, like a quarter of your lifespan, so say for example if a human lived till 80, imagine just deciding that a 20-year-old woman, we're done with her because she's too weak, like we've exploited her enough, so now we're just going to take her to the slaughterhouse or take her somewhere to be shot, and then turn her flesh into products to eat and her skin into items to wear. Like, it's just absolutely disgusting and barbaric, and I genuinely feel like people need to know the truth and need to know the reality of what is happening, not only in the dairy industry. I'm just using this as one specific example, but in all of these industries and every single way that we exploit animals, non-human animals, because obviously humans are animals, as we all know. We feel exactly the same as other animals. We experience the same emotions, feelings. Yes, Chip, I 100% agree. People definitely need to know because it's so hidden from us. Like, I think I vaguely found out about the dairy industry, but not properly. I stopped consuming dairy when I was about 21 years old. So that was about 11 or 12 years ago, mostly because I realised that it was aggravating my psoriasis. So I get psoriasis if, like I'm stressed or if I'm not eating properly, and that was the number one thing that was aggravating it. And I realised this when I was that age. and I was going for treatment for my psoriasis since I was so young, and I was having to go on like these UVB sunbeds and things like that. And nobody ever told me, like none of the doctors ever told me that it could be something to do with what I was eating. And now I look back and I'm like, of course that was happening, because I'm not a baby cow. Like, we shouldn't be consuming the milk from another animal. No, not only is it absolutely horrific and barbaric and cruel, it's also not meant for our bodies. And it's all just about money to these industries. Like, that is literally all they care about. They don't care about the well-being of animals, of other sentient living beings. They don't care about the health of humans. So yeah, like, it's literally just thinking outside of the box, having the ability to critically think and analyze things and think, should I really be doing this? Like, is this okay? Is it okay for me to be stealing the breast milk from another mother, or from a mother, sorry, when that is not our milk to take? Like, it's just not our milk to take. So yeah, education is key. Like, learning about these things is really, really important, because yes, we can stay ignorant, we can stay blind to these things so that we can carry on doing what we're doing. But okay, yeah, so if you want to live morally bankrupt, then go for it. Don't educate yourself on these things. But the reality is that we shouldn't be exploiting and using other animals for our own selfish desires. Like, if we just put ourselves into those animals' position, how would we feel? Like, how would you feel if you were a mother cow and you had been forcibly impregnated and had your baby stolen? It's just not okay at all. Stumbled upon this channel whilst having eggs with cheese. Lovely. Okay, so you're obviously here for a reason. So what is stopping you, Casino, from going vegan? If you can give me your best justification, then please let me know. But you're literally, if you're consuming cheese, you're literally stealing the milk from a mother cow. It's not your milk to take. And I understand that we're naive to all these things, but it's completely hidden from us. But the truth is, once we learn about these things, it's then about aligning our morals with our actions. Because I don't want to be... Sorry, the dog just knocked over my coffee. You don't want to be vegan, but that's just like saying you don't want to not have a slave, or you don't want to be against human slavery. So what is... like, just not wanting to be vegan, how is that a good enough justification? Hi Jake, how are you? Yeah, I've explained this to a few others, but basically I was supposed to go out and do some street outreach today, but it's absolutely chucking it down. So I thought I would just do a live and chat to people about the reality of the dairy industry mostly. I just want to try and focus on that, but obviously we're against all forms of animal exploitation. So the truth is, I know exactly where my food comes from. I live in a farming country. Lots of us live in farming countries, like New Zealand, the UK, Australia. Every single country has farms, but that doesn't mean, how does that mean it's okay to exploit animals for your own benefit? How is that a good enough excuse just because you live in a country where they have farms? I don't quite understand that one. Yeah, maybe try again, maybe come up with another justification, because to me that is not good enough. That is not a good enough reason to not exploit animals. So, just like me, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Farms everywhere, that's the problem. Yeah, exactly, like, they're absolutely everywhere. Slaughterhouses are absolutely everywhere. One of the things that I do is go to slaughterhouses and live stream from slaughterhouses. So if any of you see this video and want to go back into my other videos, you can see the reality of what is happening in slaughterhouses, and I'm based in the UK. I need no justifications, but that's what people used to say about human slavery as well. So how is that okay? Like, I don't understand your justification here. I don't understand your reasoning. Like, what is your reason to continue exploiting animals for your own benefit? Why are you eating cheese and drinking the milk that was supposed to be for baby cows? Like, why don't we question this? Why don't we have the ability to critically think and think outside the box and go, maybe I shouldn't be drinking the milk that's supposed to be for a baby cow? Mad respect for exposing the truth to the general public. Thanks, Matthew? Yeah, thank you. And thank you for being here. Yeah, like I said, dairy is just one example of one of the ways that we exploit other living sentient beings. So I'm just using dairy as an example for this video specifically, but obviously no types of animal exploitation or use is okay. And veganism is... Shush, come here, come on. Veganism is about not using animals for our own benefit. So it's the principle that says humans should not exploit animals. So any types of use we want to eliminate, and it's a stance against all forms of animal exploitation. I'm just using, they're both waiting for a walk, but I'm just waiting for the rain to calm down a little bit. Just trying to use dairy as an example because obviously some people know how barbaric it is. I feel like lots of people don't know how barbaric it is. But even if we did treat them well, which we don't because they're raped and forcibly impregnated, even if we kept them in amazing conditions and gave them amazing food, which some farmers claim that they do, it's still not okay. I'm just going to have to go and get a cloth to wipe up this coffee that I spilt because Ezra is going mental. It's still not okay to treat them as slaves and to... Once you breed someone into existence for your own benefit, like dairy farmers, just giving that as one example, dairy farmers breed cows into existence just to make money from them. That is not okay. That is not ethical. They're always going to be seen and treated as commodities. Like, I've spoken to some farmers before who have said, like, obviously lying, who have said, oh, but they're pets. They're not pets. And obviously we hate that word anyway. They're not your companion animals. They are literally being used and exploited for your benefit. Let's see what some of the comments are saying. So I can pick and choose, so my preference is to consume animal products. Okay, so you've really not come up with a good enough reason yet. Like you're not actually, it's as if you know what you're doing is wrong, but you just can't come up with a good enough reason to not do it. You can't come up with a good enough justification because there is none. There's no justification to not be vegan. Like, once you realise, I think for a lot of people, what helps wake them up is seeing slaughterhouse footage. But then once you go deeper and realise all of the different ways that animals are being used by humans, you realise that it's literally everywhere. And it's absolutely horrific. And even if it wasn't horrific, though, that's the thing. Even if farmed animals and animals in zoos and animals who are tested on, even if they're kept in amazing conditions, it's still exploitation. Go and watch Dominion on YouTube. If there's anyone in here, if you've heard of the documentary or maybe you've not heard of it, there's a documentary on YouTube called Dominion, and it basically just explains all of the different ways and all of the different species that humans exploit. And it really just helps to wake you up to all of this. I know that obviously I just started talking about dairy specifically, but we exploit animals in so many different ways and it's absolutely horrific. Come here then. Come on. Come up. I'm hoping that you're still going to be able to hear me with him here. Don't knock my coffee over though. You going to say hello? Say hello. That's right. What else are people saying? Yeah, so if there are any trolls in here and you want to... He's literally trying to drink my coffee. If there's any trolls in here and you genuinely want to come up with like justifications, then try and give me your best justification because I can guarantee that there isn't one. Or if there's anyone in here that is genuinely quite open to veganism and to understanding about what is happening to animals, then Also, just let me know if you've got any questions. This one's called Ezra, and then Pablo's down there. Pablo's a lot more chilled. We just rescued Ezra a few weeks ago, like 5 weeks ago, so he's still a little bit nervous and still quite mental. But yeah, they sometimes have little scraps because Pablo was quite territorial to start with, but now they're relaxing a little bit around each other. He's trying to play tuggy with me with the with the tea towel that I just used to wipe up my coffee. They've already had one walk today, so they're just waiting for their second one, and it's just absolutely chucking it down. So I know that they won't actually enjoy it that much. Like, we will go out, but I'm just waiting for it to calm down a little bit. So anyway, yeah, if there's anyone in here who's actually open to understanding the reality of what is happening to non-human animals, then please let me know if you've got any questions. But I think I always end up coming back to dairy for some reason, because for me it's, I don't really like to say it's one of the worst, because they're all horrific and we shouldn't be exploiting animals for anything. We shouldn't be exploiting anyone. But I think if David's still in here, the 40-year-old vegan, I saw his part of his, yes, he's here. I saw part of his live from yesterday or the day before where he was outside a veal slaughterhouse. So it's literally where baby cows, like babies, go to be murdered. And he was saying in the live, like, they're so proud of calling it veal when they are someone's, like, they are people. Some people, you know, call them people because they are sentient. They are the same as us in all the ways that it matters. And they are fucking babies who are being murdered just so that we could, because we want to drink the breast milk from another species. And these innocent individuals are literally forcibly impregnated against their will. They don't want to be forcibly impregnated. They don't want to be raped. They don't want to be murdered. They don't want to be chopped up, and they don't want to have their skin made into handbags and shoes. David said, yesterday it was freezing. Imagine how the babies felt. I know, just absolutely horrific. Like, I just cannot even sometimes get my head around it. Like, I know that a lot of sort of activists have still been doing this for a long time, and you still just cannot believe how barbaric it is and how horrific. So yeah, if there's anyone in here who's interested in learning what is happening to animals so that you can actually align your morals with your actions, please go and watch Dominion on YouTube. It's really, really important that we educate ourselves on these things so that we can actually make informed decisions for ourselves, because I genuinely believe that good people do change, and good people open their eyes and their heart enough to not exploit animals and to not put them through the horrific, absolutely horrific things that they're going through. Let's see what some of the comments are saying. Vegans are the most closed-minded people in the world. Coming from somebody who literally pays for animals to be raped and exploited and murdered, and you're not willing to change, how does that make us closed-minded? That's just like saying people who are against human slavery and abolitionists in the past, that they were closed-minded because they didn't want to exploit humans and they didn't want to have humans as slaves anymore. Like, it's such a fucked up thing to say, and it's because I believe that vegans have got such a bad reputation is because most people think that it's a diet, and it's not a diet. Like, it's nothing to do with vegetarianism. Absolutely nothing to do with vegetarianism is just like being on the paleo diet. So that a paleo diet is where you eat flesh, but you don't consume the breast milk from a cow. Like, all vegetarianism is doing is eliminating some forms of exploitation from just the diet. Like, you're not even excluding all forms of exploitation from the diet. You're excluding some forms of exploitation from just the diet, whereas veganism is the stance that says humans should not exploit animals for anything. Anything. We shouldn't use animals. So this is why I think I think it's partly to do with the fact that people think it's a diet. that things like saying vegans are the most closed-minded people in the world, it's because you don't know what veganism is. Animals deserve moral consideration. Exactly that, 100%. Like, because they're the same as us in all of the ways that it matters. There's no moral difference between us and other species of animals. Someone just asked me, are you African? Do you eat meat? No, I obviously don't eat flesh from other animals because I'm against all forms of animal exploitation, and that would be exploiting animals to murder them for their flesh. So no, I don't eat meat. I get so much protein, nutrients from a whole foods, plant-based diet. Veganism isn't about health, but it just so happens that it's the healthiest diet out there, a whole foods, plant-based diet. And there's now scientific studies that are actually done to prove that. But like I said, I don't really like talking about health because veganism isn't about health. It's just a coincidence that it's a really fucking healthy diet. We just need good people to change. Exactly that, David. Like, I honestly think that it's just going to take the minority to stand up and speak up about this really loud and strong for things to start to change. Like, we don't need the majority to be against animal exploitation. We just need the minority of good people to change for things to start to adjust and for things to start to come into place. Like, for example, we see most people are against fur coats. Like, why don't you question, if you're against the fur coat, why aren't you against leather? Like, if you're against foie gras, why are you not against other forms of exploitation for food? Correct. I hunt, fish, farm, consume animals, go to zoos. Yeah, okay, good for you. Good for you. I really hope that you're reborn in your next life, Casino. I hope that you're reborn in your next life as either an animal in a zoo or an animal that's exploited for their flesh or for their milk. Because I honestly, I actually believe in karma, and I think that these things will come back around to the people who are actually open to doing it and actively participating in it, even though they know how barbaric it is and even though they know exploitation isn't okay. It's a different situation when you don't know the truth, but when you do know the reality of what is happening, but you still choose to do it anyway, I genuinely think that, potentially people are going to be reborn, and in their next life they hopefully come back as an animal which they exploited just the way that they exploited. It's a personal karma. Believing in karma is a personal choice and it's a personal belief. I agree with that. But what is not a personal choice and a belief is exploiting animals, because when there's a victim, it's not a personal choice. Like, we wouldn't say, oh, it's a personal choice that you have a slave. Like, it's a personal choice that you're raping that woman or exploiting that child. It's not a personal choice. I agree with you that it's a belief. Like, it's my belief that karma exists, but it's not a belief that it's okay to exploit other animals. Like, it's just basic morals that most people can agree with. I couldn't place the accent. Yeah, I'm not sure why you need to know where I live. I'm in the UK. Why, if you live in Africa, are you wearing fur coats? I'm not sure what you mean by that. But yeah, if there's anyone in here who's actually interested in learning what is happening to animals, or if you've got any questions, or if you want to know about veganism, then please let me know. If you've got any, anything that you feel like is a barrier for you to be living vegan, then also let me know, because I'm more than happy to help open-minded people. It's the people who are closed-minded who I find it quite hard, when you just don't want to understand the facts and you don't want to even consider not exploiting animals for your own benefit. I'm going to ask, is it difficult to be vegan? Thanks, Chip. If you could just ask questions. If there's no questions, maybe you could ask questions that other people would usually ask, because I know that you're on the street quite a lot, aren't you? So, is it difficult to be vegan? Absolutely not. When you put yourself into the victim's position, when you understand what is happening to the victims, it is not hard to be vegan because you understand that animals shouldn't be exploited for your benefit. So no, it's not hard to be vegan. Just like it's not hard to not have a human slave, or it's not hard to want to exploit other humans because of the way that they look, for example. Like, exploiting other animals is literally using them because of the way that they look and because they look different to us and sound different to us. So I was on a plant-based diet for around 5 years, thinking that I was vegan because I didn't fully understand what veganism was. And some people might say, oh, it's hard to give up cheese. It's really hard to not eat animals' flesh. Like, I find it really hard to give it up. But it is the easiest thing you will ever do when you understand and when you put yourself into the animal's position. So basically we adopted Ezra. Apparently, so obviously I think he was bought from a breeder, and the family they got a puppy and had a baby at the same time. So this is another thing that obviously vegans are against, is the exploitation of dogs. And dogs are one of the most oppressed groups of individuals on the planet, because so many people think that it's okay to buy puppies. And I was guilty of that. Like, I'm always so honest about this. Just like I used to eat flesh and eggs and wear skin, we bought our first dog from a breeder because I hadn't fully made that connection yet. I hadn't connected to the animals and I didn't understand the reality of animal exploitation. So, you know, like, we are understanding, we are compassionate about it, about all of these things. Like, most vegans are open and willing to explain these things to other people who are open, because we've been there. Like, most of us weren't born vegan. So anyway, yeah, his family had basically had a baby and got a puppy at the same time, and then after a few weeks decided that they couldn't handle it and it was too much. And this is such a big problem, obviously, for pets, dogs and cats, and individuals who are literally bred for human benefit. And then there's so many that end up in shelters. There's obviously not so much in the UK, but all around the world there's so many dogs. Careful. There's so many dogs that end up on the streets because humans think it's okay to breed and exploit animals into existence for their own benefit, and then the animals are the ones that pay the price. So yeah, again, I'm going to keep repeating this, but if there's anyone in here and you don't know about animal exploitation, you don't know about the dairy industry or any of this, please watch Dominion on YouTube. It's quite a long documentary, but it really just opens your eyes to all of this. Yeah, let me just go back to the comments. Yeah, he is really cute. He's just a little bit on edge still. And him and Pablo they're getting used to each other. They're definitely getting used to each other. And I know that they're going to be best friends at some point. But it's just that Pablo was a little bit territorial to start with. And we got asked if we could adopt him. And we just couldn't say no, because we're obviously used to his breed from having Pablo first. And it was just like, obviously they're hard work, absolutely incredible, and they're my best friends, but sometimes it's just hard to say no. Especially when you're faced with the reality of, like, someone just got rid of him because they had a baby and he needed a home. So yeah, it's just, he's now safe and happy with us, which is nice. Less than 1%, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm guessing casino, less than 1%. I'm not sure what you mean by less than 1%. Are you talking about the amount of vegans? In the UK, it's about 3%, but that number is increasing because people are realizing the truth. People are waking up to it. Lots more people are becoming active. Like, so I've only probably been vegan for about 8 months, 9 months maybe now, because I came across all of Joey Carbstrong's footage. And like I said, before that I was on a plant-based diet. But then I woke up to the truth because I came across all of Joey's footage, and I started speaking up straight away, and I've not stopped. Like, every single day I'm posting on social media. Every weekend I'm doing stuff in person. I try to do something at least every weekend in person. I'm doing these live streams, like I'm going out and speaking to people, I'm going to slaughterhouses, because I feel like once you know the truth, like how could you not tell people, especially when most people don't actually know what is happening. Like I really feel like I've got a moral obligation to tell people, like I owe it to the animals. They need to know, people need to be educated, and then I really do believe good people do change. And yes, there's the minority of psychopaths who are actual like clinical psychopaths and who don't have empathy for others, but I think most people do care. And I do truly believe that animals will be liberated in my lifetime, and I have to believe it, and I just have to keep going, and I have to keep doing it. And Chip, I know that you're the same, and if there's any other activists in here, thank you so much for everything that you do. Like honestly, I know that we're all so spread out, but I feel like even though we hardly even know each other, like we're so well connected because we're all just on the same page, and like all we want is the animals to be liberated and for animals to have rights and the respect that they deserve, because they are exactly the same as us. Like I like to describe the speciesism towards other sentient individuals as like racism, because we're literally just discriminating against them for our own benefit because of the way that they look and because of the way that they sound. Like how is that any different from racism or human slavery? It's exactly the same. Why do you think most people are not vegan but still claim that they care about animals? I think I'm not sure about you, but I feel like a lot of people do have that connection with animals, but they still want to exploit them for their own desires. And when it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So I think because most of us do have basic empathy, not only for humans, but for all living sentient beings, because we're animals as well. I feel like people still partly have that connection with other animals, but they still want to choose their own like addictions and desires and fashion items and like makeup items and whatever else. I think that a lot of people just want to keep it out of their mind so that they can carry on what they're doing. What do you think, Chip? How do you feel in terms of that? Like, why do you think most people aren't vegan but they still claim to care about animals? I also think that most people don't know. Like, I think that if most people knew what was happening to the animals, then it would be very different, but most people don't actually know. And that's why I keep saying, like, good people do change. So I think it's partly because some people want to just keep it out of their mind and carry on doing what they're doing for their own selfish desires, because that is the, you know, human condition, is that, like, a lot of the time, not everyone, but I think just in general we're a little bit of a plague to this planet, to be honest, which is quite sad. It's quite sad, but that's the reality of it. And then I think the rest of the people just don't know, and that's why people like you and me, Chip, and any other activists in here are speaking up about it, and we're not going to shut up until it stops, and it will stop at some point. I really do believe it's going to end. Like, there just needs to be more of us, and then we can and I also think that there's space for different types of activism. So if there's anyone in here who's actually wanting to ask any sort of realistic questions or has any genuine barriers to going vegan, shush, Ezra, come here, come here. What's this? Come here. Good boy. We'll go out soon, I promise. We'll go out soon. In like half an hour. I agree with you, it's a disconnect either coming from ignorance or apathy. Yeah, exactly, I agree. People are reminded, the better it'll be for them. The more people are reminded, the better it'll be for them. I completely agree as well, and that's why we're out there sharing the reality. And like, obviously activists receive so much hate because people prefer to shoot the messenger than to fully acknowledge the message. So we get obviously a lot of friction and pushback because people don't actually like to hear it and they don't like to be confronted with the truth. But it's not going to stop us. It's not going to stop me. Like, I am never, ever, ever, ever going to stop speaking up about this. Now I know the truth. There is no stopping me whatsoever. So I know that I keep saying this over and over again, but if there's anyone new who's just come in, please go and watch Dominion on YouTube, or click the link in the description of this video. And there's a 6-minute little mini documentary. Please watch that. Please, if you claim to love animals and have empathy for others, please just click the link in my description. It's only 6 minutes long. That'll help to open your eyes a little bit and wake you up to this and help you to actually understand what is happening, so that you can then make informed decisions, I switched to live chat instead of top chat. There's some non-vegans in here. What do you mean? Emma, switch to live chat instead of top chat. There's some non-vegans in here. And record it. I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry, Chip. I thought I was on live chat. You can believe people don't know. That's nice. Must be dumb. Something where you live. I'm not sure what you mean. You can believe people don't know. Do non-vegans hate vegans because they have been exposed to the truth and non-vegans can't handle what they've been told? Potentially. I do feel like, you know, since I've been starting to speak up about this, I've definitely had a few friends like distance themselves from me. I've had like the majority of boys that I was in school with, they've all deleted me off Facebook, and I think it's such a weird situation where so many like men and males think that meat equals strength and that you need to eat meat to be manly. It's such a weird situation. It actually blows my mind. You're not going to stop. Well, we will never stop consuming animals, but you might have to one day. Have you ever considered that? That if animals get rights, and bearing in mind they will at some point, that you might have to stop consuming animals. So why not just like stop whilst you're ahead, be on the right side of history before you get made to stop? Like, why not just stop out of choice? Have you actually ever considered that? Yeah. Is that not an option for you to just go, okay, I'm going to stop doing it now because it's unethical and it's not okay and we shouldn't be exploiting animals? Bull is the most masculine animal I can think of, and he's vegan, I guess. Yeah, there's so many huge, strong animals who are herbivores. They don't eat flesh from other animals. Yeah, there's loads and loads of obviously like gorillas, really huge, strong animals, elephants, cows, you know, and they're strong and big, and they don't consume the body parts of other animals. So the reality is, because you just brought up, people keep bringing up meat because they literally think it's a fucking diet, and it's the most annoying thing because people cannot physically get out of their heads that it's not a diet. They cannot get out of their heads it's not a diet. And somebody came up with a theory the other day, which I completely agree with, is because if they admit that it's a diet, then they then have to admit that they agree with the principle and that they're not aligning their morals with their actions. So going back to flesh, meat, people literally think that protein equals meat, and it doesn't. So we need protein, we don't need meat. We don't need to consume the flesh from other animals. The body wants protein, and the body doesn't care where it gets its protein from, as long as it gets protein and the right amount, which you can get from a full plant-based diet. And there are world-class athletes all over the world that are living proof of this. But not only that, there's actual scientific studies done. There was one study between amongst like athletes or people, you know, who are training every day, and there was actually no difference between the group of individuals who were on an animal product diet compared to who were on a full plant-based diet. So yeah, it's just such a myth that we need meat to be healthy. It's an absolute lie. What's up? You okay? What's up? I sometimes think we need to rename the word vegan to something else, where we're abolitionists, we're anti-slavery, we're anti-oppression. Exactly that. Exactly. This is what I think all the time, Chip, because it's got such a bad reputation, partly because like the animal agriculture industry spread so many lies, and because it's been misinterpreted so much to the point where people don't understand it. And people argue against it and say it's your personal choice because they think it's a diet. Like, and I kind of understand why you would argue against something if you thought it was a diet, like gluten-free or vegetarian, because it does seem extreme if you think it's a diet. But when you know that it's an anti-slavery movement and that animals shouldn't be exploited by humans, there is no argument against that. Like, every single individual on the planet has the ability to not see animals as being theirs to use. So I completely agree with that as well, Chip. Like, I honestly think sometimes it should be renamed, because it, like, people shut off as soon as they hear the word vegan, but they don't even understand what it is. What else do people say? I'm a nutritionist. You can easily get everything from you that you need on a plant-based diet. Exactly. Like, I've had so many people piping up and going, oh, I studied nutrition. You need animal flesh to survive. And it's like, you're not a nutritionist if you think that. Like, you're completely misinformed. It's a lie, and you're misinforming other people as well. People have the choice, whereas the sentient animals have no choice. Yeah, exactly. You're not giving the animals a choice. You're literally forcing them into pregnancy. You're forcing them into gas chambers. You're forcing them to be slaves against their will. You're enforcing your beliefs on other animals if you're not living vegan. And I know that sounds really confrontational, but that is the reality of it. I agree, a well-planned plant-based diet, one can survive. I work too hard to survive. I want to have pleasure. That's just a weird psychotic thing to say. That is literally like a paedophile or a rapist saying that they're choosing their own desires. And like, the sad reality is that you can get away with it with animals because they don't have rights at the moment. But like I keep saying, you're in the minority. If you are genuinely, if that is genuinely what you believe, then you are in the minority of actual like clinical psychopaths. But we don't need to worry about you. Like, we're just wanting to chat to people who actually have empathy, and who are open. Like, we don't need to reach psychopaths because they aren't willing to change. Like, I genuinely believe that people like you saying things like that, I work too hard to survive, I want to have pleasure, I genuinely think that the people like you would be going around raping and murdering other humans if it was legal, because it's so psychotic. Like, and you just lack empathy. So if that's what you want to do, then okay, fine. But I don't need to like help you understand this. We need to help people who are kind and open and who have empathy. So yeah, thanks for your weird ass comment. Chip guy, I agree, but to get the same nutrients in veg as similar to non-veg, gonna be so many things to eat in vegan to get that. No, it's not. Like, oh, you're so misinformed. Honestly, I promise you, I have never been healthier. Go and look at some of my videos. I go to the gym every day. I can hold a 1-minute handstand. All I eat is like tofu, seitan. I mean, not all I eat, but because I eat a huge variety of incredible food. But that is not true. Like, people think that you need to eat huge amounts of grass and like lettuce to get all of your nutrients, but you literally just replace flesh with some tofu and you get enough. Like, honestly, you don't have to consume huge amounts more. You're just replacing a couple of things, and that's literally it. Wonder why dietitians recommend lean red meat and low-fat dairy. I'm thriving on it. Okay, I'm just going to leave you to that, because red meat is literally a carcinogen, and if you don't want to open your eyes to that, like, you know, just having your own desires is one thing. Putting your own desires over other sentient individuals is one thing. But if you want to kill yourself with your diet, then I'm just going to leave you to it, because fine, like, fine. But just so you know, like, if anyone else is watching this, red meat is now classified as a carcinogen. Things like bacon and ham are as carcinogenic as smoking and asbestos, and that is the truth. If you don't believe me, then Google it or use ChatGPT. Go and ask. So yeah, I'm like, if people want to kill other animals, then that's bad enough. Or if they want to kill themselves in the process, but can you not just go and find something else to slowly kill yourself? Like, why do you have to harm other individuals? Why can't you find something else to be addicted to and find pleasure from? Why can't you find something that doesn't involve sentient beings who are the same as us in all the ways that it matters? Yeah, so I'm actually going to stop replying to your comments now because you're just ridiculous. Also, as non-vegan began from early caveman era, so it is like a traditional trend or something, so still is followed by some. Okay, so this unknown XYZ00, are you actually open to veganism, or are you just trying to troll? Because if you're genuinely open and have genuine questions, then of course we'd be willing to ask. We'd be willing to answer. I got to go to bed, have a good stream. Thank you so much for being here. Shani, I think. It's really hard to read people's names on here because of everyone's usernames. Feminism, veganism, speciesism, ableism, sentient beings, not property, abolition, not slavery, our rights end where others begin, sentient exploitation must end, peace from within, peace from thee. Veganism, the principle that other animals, persons deserve the moral right to not be thought of as things and the legal right not to be treated as property. Exactly that. Say it louder. I know you can't because you're saying it in messages, but that's exactly it. That is what veganism is. Like, it's not a diet. It's literally the stance against animal exploitation, other animals, because we're animals as well. Do you want to go outside? The original definition of veganism is the principle of the emancipation of animals from exploitation by man. But yeah, that changed slightly over time, obviously, because we don't really say of man anymore, and nobody really understands what emancipation means. So it's just easier to say it's the principle that says humans should not exploit other animals because we are animals. I spent lots of money on... Oh, I need to not read out your ridiculous comments. Are abortion rights compatible with veganism? Veganism, and that's not anything to do with abortion. It's about animals. It's about sentient individuals who are being exploited by humans. People often bring in abortion, but that's really irrelevant. That's like a human justice issue. That's a human based issue, but it's actually nothing to do with veganism. So I find it quite hard to answer that, because I don't actually know how I feel about abortion. Like, I've not really looked into that much because I'm not actively participating in individuals being aborted. So I'm wanting to help people understand where they can take immediate action, which has a direct impact on other sentient individuals. Ezra, come here. You want to go outside? Just take him outside. Go on then. I dare you. Do you want to go outside in the rain? Go on then. No? No, thank you. I don't know if anyone saw that. Do you know what? No, you don't want to go outside in the rain? You don't want to go outside? Okay. He thought about it. What else is people saying? It's a moral stance. It's not about being natural or not. How is it moral to exploit and slaughter someone? Exactly. I think being vegan and non-vegan is part of nature, and hence both can work together. Do you understand that veganism is an anti-slavery movement? Because if you did, then you wouldn't be saying that, but I still feel like you think it's a diet. It's a mindset that humans should not exploit animals. Did you not just hear the explanation a second ago? So it's literally the mindset that humans should not exploit animals. So I think if you fully understood it, then you maybe wouldn't be saying it's part of nature, because like it's not. What we're doing to animals is not natural anyway, but also you can't appeal to nature when you're literally wearing clothes and you don't act like animals in the wild in any other part of your life. That's called an appeal to nature. Not being a psychopath isn't enough of a justification to keep... don't bite that. Do you want me to get your... Okay, one sec. I just need to get... He's got a coconut... Like, he found this coconut shell on a walk the other day, and it's a really great, like, chew for his teeth. So I'm going to go get that. Look, your coconut thingy. Here you go. Okay, I need to finish the rest of my coffee, and then we're going to go out for a walk in the pissing down rain. Hi guys, so anyone new in here, I did originally start talking about the dairy industry, and just before I pop off, because it's almost coming up to an hour now, I just want to reiterate what happens in the dairy industry for anybody who doesn't know. So cows don't just produce milk, cows produce milk because they are mothers. Dairy cows are forcibly impregnated against their will. They are put into a rack and held into place where the farmer forcibly inserts bull semen into through her anus and then into the lining of her vagina so that she's made pregnant. Then after 9 months of carrying her baby, then has her babies taken away so that humans can steal her breast milk that was supposed to be for her babies and make it into dairy products. So like cheese, milk, things that we're not supposed to have in our body, full stop, because we're not baby cows. There are huge amounts of alternatives. So I've had soy milk since I was about 21, which is about 11 or 12 years ago. I stopped consuming dairy then because of health reasons, but obviously now it's because it's absolutely barbaric and I would never ever go near any animal products ever again. But yeah, that is the reality of what happens in the dairy industry. And if you don't believe me, then please watch Dominion on YouTube to find out the truth for yourself. Also, you can click on the link in the description of this video. That's a 6-minute mini documentary where you can learn about these things and see it for yourself. See what people say. 70, oh no, I can't. Same as wild animals, I guess. They also don't have morals, do they? Yeah, I feel if you're slightly open, like I said, unknown XYZ, if you're slightly open, then please go and watch Dominion on YouTube, because it feels like you're asking like semi-sensible questions, I think. But yeah, please just go and watch Dominion on YouTube and then you'll understand. Abortion is a rights conflict between two sentient beings. When the fetus is sentient about 20 weeks in, we would respect those rights between them. For other animals, we would abolish animal slavery. Chip, you just said she rescued them. I'm not sure if you were talking about my dogs. One of them we rescued. The other one we bought from a breeder before I was vegan and before I fully understood the reality of animal exploitation. So just like I used to consume flesh, I also didn't understand that it was completely immoral and unethical to buy other sentient individuals. Like buying a dog is just absolutely barbaric and we shouldn't be doing it. There's so many up for adoption. There's so many that need rescuing. So yeah, please go and watch Dominion on YouTube or click the link in this description, which is a 6-minute documentary. No, it would make it even more morally excusable, not necessarily justified. Morals are subjective, so it's always justified. If morals are subjective, then why are you against rape? Why are you against murder of humans? That doesn't even make sense. Morals are subjective. You can't just use that when it suits you. If you think morals are subjective, then why is it illegal for humans to murder other humans? Like, it doesn't actually make sense. You obviously have morals because you're obviously against some things that are clearly unjust. Yeah, okay, it's about the dogs. Yeah, so we rescued one of them, like I just said, because before I was vegan, I didn't understand that it was not okay to exploit a mother dog's womb for my own selfish desires, because we wanted a puppy. When, you know, there's so many up for adoption, and this is a massive, massive, massive problem. So many dogs are exploited, and yes, please, please, please adopt. Don't ever, ever buy a puppy. Don't ever, ever buy a dog. Millions of dogs are put down and killed because humans breed them into existence, and we don't come up with a solution for them from the problem that we have created. From the problem that we have created for them. Like, it's barbaric. Absolutely disgusting. I'm not against it. Plenty of countries have justified and done those things. You're not against rape and murder of humans. Okay, so again, maybe you're just another psychopath that's popped up in here, but I highly doubt it. I feel like you're just saying these things to stay consistent. So yeah, I'm going to start wrapping it up. Thanks so much, Chip, for being here, and the Vegan Anthem, and any other vegans who've been in here to support. Yeah, I know that I started talking first about the dairy industry, but veganism is the stance that says humans should not exploit animals for anything. So obviously not just dairy cows, but dairy is just absolutely horrifically barbaric. So if you want to learn the reality about the dairy industry, just search into YouTube, dairy is scary. Jake's also here. Yeah, sorry. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, guys. And yeah, if you've got any questions, please send me a message on Instagram. You can go and follow me over there, or if you want to subscribe, I do like street outreach, like I think Jake does and Chip does, and I go to slaughterhouses as well to expose the reality of what is happening to animals. So thanks so much for being here. I'll see you all later. Have a lovely day wherever you are, and I'll see you all later.